Hello everyone, today I'll be doing a solo Grandmaster with Titan. For my subclass, I'll be using Fist of Havoc. Here are the mods and fragments I'll be using in this video. For my kinetic, I'll be using the Stasis Sidearm Tina. For my exotic, I'll be using the Monarque. For my linear fusion rifle, I'll be using Stormchaser or the Arc linear fusion rifle with aggressive bursts. The most traumatizing I ever had to do in this video is dealing with the Tormentor and Tango Dancing with the Tormentor. But before we talk about that, yes, I'm going to go on Titan. Don't worry, I'm going to go on Warlock next time. There's some tests I'm going to try out, especially to see if it works with the Tormentor. Sometimes you get bad luck for right here. You can pop a barricade, but there are times where the ads can overpower you to the point where your barricade will disappear. I do like standing here. Usually I would say 10%. Usually ads can break the barricade. 10% out of 80%, this method really works. So they did some reworks with the Lake of Shadows, and I have a lot of explaining to do. Bungie did a lot of rework on Lake of Shadows, and now there is another rework. Yes, there is another one, and it's gonna be really hard to explain, so I'll try my best to explain as I can throughout this video. For the rework version, now they did some more reworks, right? Yes, we're gonna take down the barrier champion. We're gonna escort the payload. And now they took away a bunch of champions, and you can still get platinum. And I will talk about that very soon. So we're going to escort the payload. So the new thing right now for the rework is you have to escort the payload. I mean, before it was very different. You just spare your way to the next objective. But Bungie wants to make this more longer and more nightmarish. For this section, I'm going to pull back. I'm going to try my best to leave 2 ads because I don't want a bunch of taken ads to spawn. You can skip the swarm of taken ads because now they mix with Cabal and Taken, which is why it's called Lake of Shadows. But since there's more Cabal enemies, you know, I like to give it the nickname of Lake of Cabal, and I'll let you know why soon. So I'm gonna leave 1 or 2 ads. There is a dog, so I'm gonna take him down, and right now they're not cooperating with me. They do hit pretty harshly, so I'm gonna try to make them follow me, and then I can go escort the payload. If you are an Invis Hunter, let's just pretend you could just take down the 2 ads and then just turn invisible. But we're not on Hunter, we're on Titan. I accidentally took down 1 of the ads, so I am so sorry, Cabal. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to take you down with the rockets. My bad. And we're gonna go all the way to the door, and then there should be a ad. A champion, unstoppable champion that should spawn. So during this section, try your best to take down the unstoppable champion as fast as you can. And yes, I do have console aim assist. There are times where I'm trying to aim for the unstoppable champion and my controller is moving to the Void Cabal. Like, why? Why, game? See, this is stuff that really irritates me. You know what? I think one day, I don't know if I have time, but I think if I have time, I'm gonna try to do a run showing the controller or something. Maybe. I'm still debating. Because the problem is I have to record the controller, and it's really difficult to do, the editing. But maybe I'll do it. I'm thinking about it. But anyway, we're gonna escort the payload. We're just gonna hug the payload. Maybe I should have just jumped on top of the platform. I am using Fist of Havoc. It is not mandatory to use Fist of Havoc. If you want to, you can if you are bored of the meta. But if you want to go for the meta, which I know a lot of you love the meta, you can go for Thunder Crash. And Thunder Crash is a really good exotic, well, good subclass, and you can use the exotic chestplate to get more damage with Thunder Crash, especially dealing with the mini Gambit boss. It is your choice. I mean, if you want to go for a more faster, efficient run, you can go for Thunder Crash. I mean, you don't need to use Fist of Havoc. I'm just using it for fun. I'm not forcing players to use Fist of Havoc. I'm using it because it's fun. Yes, it does need a little bit of buff. I do think that they need to buff it a little bit more with the super. The one thing I really like about Fist of Havoc is you can blind enemies while using Fist of Havoc. I'll show you what I mean on the Tormentor. You'll see a good example there. I did use Fist of Havoc on purpose so I can deal with the Tormentor on a, you know, not the best subclass deal with the Tormentor. Just to show you the movement of the Tormentor and how he behaves. So during this section, from what I remember, there were more snipers. Way more snipers. I think they nerfed the snipers during this section. And I remember there were more champions over here. I think. I don't remember 100%. I'm going to rewatch my old video and compare it. But like I said, there's a lot of rework. And they try their best to make this GM easier. And I gotta be honest, they did make this GM a bit easier. A bit easier. Which I'm happy for new players. It's good for new players to have an easier time dealing with Lake of Shadows or Lake of Cabal. Because the problem is, there isn't really a lot of taken ads compared with Cabal for this GM. But once you cleared out all the ads, we're going to be dealing with more Cabal. Not really a swarm of taken ads. So I am using exotic rockets. They have the power. Alright, I mean, look at this. It's so good. I mean, if you do want to try it, go ahead, try it out. But like I said, if you don't like rockets, you don't like Fist of Havoc. Yes, I know you. I see you. I see you smiling over there. Use Thunder Crash. Alright? You don't have to use Fist of Havoc. Because I know someone's going to comment and say, I don't like Fist of Havoc, Blitz. I understand. Everyone has their favorites. And right now, I am in the mood of Fist of Havoc for a while. I will switch to Thunder Crash later on. And yes, I will go on Warlock. It was requested, so don't worry. I need to do some more testing with the Warlock. I have the loadout ready. Alright, it's ready to go. So during this section, I was just having trouble with the auto aim. I mean, my goodness, it's just really weird. So when I was doing this run, I had probably the worst luck. On the other runs I've done, the other attempts, it was really clean. But for this footage, it's not the cleanest. But it's alright. I didn't want to redo the run. I know I could have done way more better, but I wanted to switch to a different character. Because I have been spamming a lot of Titan lately, but to be honest, Titan this season is just really fun. So I'm not going to deny and say that the reason why I'm on Titan is because I only main on Titan. No, that is not true. It's because the season artifact mods is really fun on Titan, and I was just enjoying myself a lot with Titan a lot this season. For the Hunter, so and so. But I will go back to my Hunter probably next reset. Maybe I'll think about it. Still debating. But anyway, I'm taking down the turrets. And now I'm going to go to the payload. So we're just going to dissolve the goop just like Mario Sunshine. Remember Mario Sunshine where we have to use water to disintegrate the blog? Well, for this section, we have to use the ship, the payload, to disintegrate the blobs or the taken goop. Now we're gonna use our super. Yes, you can use Thunder Crash if you want to, but I would prefer to use Thunder Crash at the final boss. Well, mini boss, not final boss, mini boss. So we like to call the boss the meatball. That is the nickname of the boss. Or you can call it the Gambit meatball or the Gambit boss. I like to call it the evil servitor, the taken servitor. Or I just gonna call it the mini boss just to make it easier for me. We are going to spawn the Gambit boss or the mini boss, and I'll be honest with you, I still don't like the boss layout for this. I feel like this area, the mini boss, shouldn't exist. I really don't like it. I'm not a big fan of it. So make sure when you do see a wave of ads around 80%, make sure you take down a champion. There's going to be a bigger champion. There's going to be a swarm of ads that are going to push. So make sure you take down a bigger champion. I was just checking there was a war beast or the dog because I heard the footsteps from the left side. Yes, I'm using my headphones when I do my solo GMs. And I thought it was there, but then I think my rockets or the bolt charge disintegrated the dog. So once we clear down the ads, collect all the ammo right away, and we're gonna go and escort the payload. So around 90% is when the boss is going to spawn. So let me just clarify it. 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. Around 95%. So I apologize. Around 95%, the mini boss will spawn. Around 80% or 85 is when you need to clear out the barrier champion. So we're going to do a mini method here. You can also go to that roof up there, but I'm not going to go there. So I'm going to bait the boss. The cute, adorable servitor. I can't call it a baby because it's not a baby servitor. Even though I do want to make fun of it. Not make fun of it, but make little jokes here and there. But there's really no jokes I could say about this servitor or this mini boss. So I am going to be using bolt charge with Monarque. Yes, Monarque. With the rockets. And yes, some of the rockets do track the boss. And this is the perfect time, well, earlier to use your Thunder Crash. And then you pull back and go in this area. There is going to be a swarm of wizards, 2 wizards. I think there were way more before the old version. The rework version, the other one. But like I said, I'm going to rewatch my old video and see the comparisons. But sometimes a boss won't cooperate with you. Sometimes he will move all the way from the left side. Or he just might hide again from the right side. So just a heads up. When you are doing DPS at the boss, make sure you take down the wizards. The wizards still melt you. They still do a lot of damage. The same thing as the old version or the other version without the banes. Because they can break your barricade really fast, and I highly recommend take them down. But if you want to speed run it, you don't have to take them down, but it is up to you if you are going for a speed run. Then of course you can use Thunder Crash and then just take it down quickly and ignore the wizards. So we're going to do DPS until it goes up to the C. And then once that happens, then we're going to go take down the taken eyes or the taken balls or eyes. I'm just going to call them taken eyes-ish or taken ball. So I'm going to use the sidearm. You can also use a sniper. Like if you don't like to use a sidearm, let's just pretend you don't have the Tina or you don't want to use the Strand sidearm. You want to challenge yourself a little bit more. Or you just want to try out different weapons for fun. You know, I'm not forcing you to use this loadout. You don't have to. It's just ideas for you to try out. And if this loadout's not for you, well, I would highly recommend to try different loadouts that you are most comfortable with. So we're going to take out the Taken Eyes or the Taken Balls. The little itty bitty blights. It's really hard for me to see, by the way, for me. I don't know about you, but for me, I was having a hard time seeing the little itty bitty dots. Another thing you could do is if you have Amplify, you could just run and jump and shoot, run and jump and shoot, but I'm not going to do that for this method. The boss's damage with the Void Blast, he does quite a lot. And I mean a lot. So just be very careful when dealing with the boss. I'm just trying to shoot it, but he's just being extremely awkward. Right now I'm just trying to shoot one of the Taken Blights. And now we can do damage. So there are two ways to deal with this. You can go on the back side where I was standing before, or you could go in this section. So I did forget that this boss likes to shoot, likes to use these giant Taken Blights. And he did push me. I was like, okay, I'm backing up. Backing up here. See, if I had Thunder Crash, I would have done way more damage and then pull back. But I did use my super as in panic because the Taken Eyes actually went through the mini sweet spot. Which I was quite surprised because it has never ever done that ever on my other attempts. But now you know, so make sure you take down the blights. I mean, look at them. They're huge. Imagine those at the elevator for Dreaming City. Corrupted. Imagine Corrupted where the Taken Cabal, they unleash these Taken blights like that size. I mean, wouldn't that be scary? I would be terrified if I had to deal with this at the elevator. The good news is at least I can shoot them. At least I can take them down. That's the good news. And yes, there's going to be Banes for Lake of Shadows. So just to let everyone know, since they had to rework with adding more Banes at Grandmasters, or we like to call them GM in short, but we call them Grandmasters as well. Now they're adding all these new Banes and they're reworking the champions, all that goody stuff. So I am gonna pop my barricade here, but then I changed my mind because the boss wasn't cooperating with me. It looked like he was hanging around all the way in that corner. It was kind of really weird. So you can stand at this section. I was just trying to see if I could try to get him to move. I did wind up, or I did just stand at this spot because I couldn't use my linear fusion rifle. I am using Stormchaser linear fusion rifle. You don't have to use it. I'm using it because I haven't used it for a long time. I still prefer the Void linear fusion rifle over Stormchaser because one, most players have the Void linear fusion rifle. You can craft it. Two, not a lot of players have Stormchaser, which is completely understandable. So if you don't have it, it's okay. Don't feel bad about it. And also make sure you hold square so you can make the payload explode and then you go to the next section. Don't feel bad that you don't have Stormchaser. It's okay. I mean, honestly, there's some dungeon weapons or raid weapons that I don't even have. And if I don't have it, then I just use other weapons for my solo runs. So we are going to take down these blight, and we're going to throw the grenade. We're going to throw a blinding grenade so we can blind the enemies. And finally, we do see some strand shields. I haven't seen any stasis shields besides the bang, but he doesn't count. There's going to be Unstoppable Champion. Just be aware that Unstoppable Champion's buggy. Very buggy, trust me. I was doing some attempts for the Titan run, and sometimes the Unstoppable Champion can teleport behind you when you go downstairs. So just be very careful with the Unstoppable Champion. He sometimes behaves very weird. I know that because it has happened to me before, where he teleported behind me, and then what I had to do is use my super. So there is a hypernova or nuclear bang. You can use your super, and your super will protect you from the hypernova bang or the nuclear bang. That was the old name for the bang, by the way, if anyone's curious. Why do I call that name? Because on the TWID, they called it the nuclear bang, but they decided to change it into something else, a different name, hypernova. So we're going to take down the Cabal up ahead. You can also first take down the bigger champion. The reason why I didn't take down the bigger champion first was because I had trouble with the aiming, the flinch. It was making my controller move, like my character move, and I didn't like that. So for me, I just decided to take down the Cabal with the strand shield. So there's going to be more changes, as I said before in my previous video. So during this section, there were supposed to be 2 Unstoppable Champions, but now they replaced them with a Major and a Bane. The reason why there's no 2 Unstoppable Champions in this section is because they did some rework on the taken Unstoppable Champions. So what happened was they removed the old version, and I think they forgot to put the additional 2. Either that, or Bungie wanted to make the Lake of Shadows easier like the old version and decided to just remove them completely, which is a good idea, to be honest, and just replace them with 1 bang, 1 major Cabal, which is good. I'm happy. I think this really refreshes the Lake of Shadows GM, in my honest opinion. I know people will disagree with me, but they took away 2 champions, and that's great. So I'm going to do a mini time skip here. So I was using the stasis sidearm to do damage to the ship, the Threshers. They are very tanky, and they can hurt your character. So I'm waiting for the missiles to disappear. So even though you take them down, their missiles still can track you after they are taken down, which is really weird. There's going to be a bunch of Scions, and they did some reworks over here. So like I said, they removed 2 champions, which is good. Another thing they did is there was supposed to be another champion, maybe another one all the way from the back. They also removed that. So they removed a bunch of Unstoppable Champions in the bridge. So I remember all the way from the back, there should be 2 Unstoppable Champions. 1 near the mini boss that is guarding the door, and then 1 all the way from the back left side. So pretty much it is really awkward, and I haven't really looked into the champions yet. I think there is some Unstoppable Champions that is the old version that they forgot. They forgot to remove it and replace it with the new Unstoppable Champion. That's what I think. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take down the ship. So I'm going to do a mini time skip here. After spending maybe 2 minutes of my life, we did took down the Thresher. They're like the worst enemies through the bridge. There is a way to get rid of them quickly. You have to take down the boss, but we're not going to do that. we're gonna deal with a Suffolk champion from far distance. We are gonna use our linear fusion rifle to stagger the unstoppable champion. So it looks like that this is the old version of the unstoppable champion. It looks like Bungie forgot to remove this unstoppable champion because I can see the precision. I can see the head of the unstoppable champion, where the new version, they block it. So it looks like it's a possibility they might add more champions in this GM. I hope not. I honestly will not like it. I don't know if anyone else would agree or disagree with me. I think it's a really great idea that they remove some extra champions because I feel like the rework was just way too much. You can see here, there was supposed to be 2 champions, I remember. 2 champions here. And then another champion which already taken down. And they also removed the blight from the left side too. So there's a cheese spot here, but we're not going to go there. We're going to go deal with the Tormentor. I got to go Tango Dance with the Tormentor. So more changes for this GM. They remove 1 champion in this section. So now we have 1 unstoppable champion instead of 2. So just be aware that there are some changes which I like. Really good for new players to not be too stressed for the Lake of Shadows. I think this is great. I know for veterans this is bad, you know, they want to challenge, but here's the thing, guys, for YouTube, by the way. I think it'll be best for Bungie to remove some of the champions for this section, because the reason why people skip the Tormentor is because during this section, it was just beyond ridiculous. Alright, they added a bunch of champions. It was just a nightmare, especially for fire team, to go through this section, which is why a lot of players cheese it. And I don't blame them. I did it too. I cheesed and skipped the Tormentor. I did it, so I don't think it's bad. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's great that they made this section way more easier. There was also supposed to be another champion here, but it looks like they removed it. They removed a bunch of champions. I'm really shocked right now. I'm really surprised. Like, this is great. I'm really happy. Now they made Lake of Shadows way easier. I think Bungie's trying to go back to the old version where everyone loved Lake of Shadows, and then everyone hated Lake of Shadows before. And I think they're trying to rework it. And look at this. Look at this, guys. They, of course, have the champion there. There was supposed to be a wizard, and they replaced it with a Strand Cabal, and of course a Bang. I think that's RNG. It could be a Bang or not. I think I was just unlucky. But look at this. This is crazy. They removed the wizard. And the wizard does so much damage. It's to the point where you have to use your super during this section, but now you don't. So they removed the wizard and they replaced it with the Strand Cabal, which is good, not bad. And they removed a bunch of blight portals. We're going to Tango Dance with the Tormentor. So I'm going to pop the barricade. We're going to shoot the shoulders from the right side. He's going to pop the Void Blast. We're going to go and take down the shoulder from the left side. We're going to take down the Taken Eyes. They do spawn as well. I'm going to try my best to use Stasis Sidearm to freeze it. And then I'm going to use my Fist of Havoc. See, if I was using my Thunder Crash right now, I would have taken down very, very fast and used my finisher. So you can see Fist of Havoc can blind a Tormentor. So just a heads up for Fire Team. if you want to use Fist of Havoc on a fire team, you can blind the Tormentor while having your 2 teammates do DPS. You can also use the Stasis Sardon to slow the Tormentor. You can see I am doing damage. I'm taking down the Taken Eyes. Forgive me, alright? I'm on my PS5 controller. I can't really shoot really fast. So we're going to go Tango Dance with Tormentor. Looks like he is aggressive. We're going to go and jump. Go pull back. We're going to blind him. We're going to pop a barricade. We're going to switch our linear fusion rifle. And just do critique precision shots. And then once we do that, finisher right away. But you can see the Void Blast does so much damage. This is why no one likes a Tormentor. This is why people skip it. I don't blame them. So please, please, for the people on YouTube, please don't be harsh on players who do the cheese spot for a Tormentor, okay? People are still traumatized by a Tormentor. Even for me, I'm still traumatized of dealing with that Tormentor on Hunter or on Warlock. It was just horrible. Okay, the Tormentor had way more health than what it has now, but the Void Blast is still not looking so good. It still looks bad, especially if you're on Hunter with no ability spam and with no strand to shackle the Tormentor. It's still gonna be a little tough to deal with the Tormentor. There is more changes. So they got rid of the thralls. Usually there's a bunch of thralls here, and there's supposed to be 2 more champions here from what I remember. So they removed 2 champions here. I could be wrong and think about the old version of Overload champions. And I remember for this section, there was supposed to be another champion here. There he is. Alright, so they still have this champion hanging around here. I'm trying to remember if there was 2 or 1. I had to look at my old video. But wow, they definitely made this way easier than the old rework version, which I'm happy. So I don't think it's bad. I think it's great. So we're going to do the mini cheese here. Alright, I show you the Tormentor. Alright, let me have a break. Let me relax this week. So we're going to go up to this pipe. And I'm going to jump on this little itty bitty platform up there. It's really hard to see because it's dark. I have the worst luck. I have nighttime. So I'm going to jump ahead right there. You can see I shot the bow just to show you. So we're going to jump. And then we're going to jump all the way from that side. And then there you go. That's how you do the mini cheese for the boss. Now I have done the non-cheese before, but honestly, there's some changes with the final boss. And I gotta be honest with you, they added more Banes at the boss. So there's gonna be RNG with the boss, and it is a possibility that you might have to deal with the Drainer Bane for the boss fight. Also Hypernova. Hypernova could be a big danger for the final boss because you would pretty much have to take down the Hypernova, where sometimes you just leave it there to clear out the ads. But because the room is so tiny, you might have an issue with having a RNG Drain Bane and a RNG Hypernova Bane. So during this section, the boss has more health. It looks like he has more health. But because we are using Bolt Charge, we are just doing so much damage. And I don't have any more linear fusion rifles, so I wasn't able to get the DPS done fast enough as I wanted. So I am going to speed up the footage. So mainly what you want to do is you want to just use Monarque and then use your linear fusion rifle. You want to pop the barricade behind you because the barricade gets in the way of doing DPS at the boss. That's basically what you will have to do. I mean, during the boss fight, you will have to shoot these crystals to take away the blights, well, the taken goop, and to do DPS at the boss. But of course, we're gonna do the cheese for this footage. And like I said, don't be harsh on players who do the cheese. I mean, everyone is still traumatized of the old version. And if you are a new player and you have no idea what I'm talking about, you need to watch my old video. The one where I was on Hunter or Warlock, I don't remember. It's a long time. But you can see how gruesome, horrendous the Lake of Shadows is and why people skip it. They do it because it was just so much work. I mean, you spend 20 minutes dealing with a Tormentor because there's just so many champions. 2 champions at the bottom. Then there's 2 more champions going upstairs. Then there's another champion all the way back. And then there's a wizard. Alright, there's a wizard you have to take down. You have to be careful. You can't get too close because there's blights pushing you. They also remove a bunch of blights during that room. Then you have the Tormentor, and he has more health, and his void shot can one-shot you. Then after that, there's a swarm of thralls. Then there's more champions at the door. I would say they're trying to make it cozy, like the old Lake of Shadows. Eventually, they are going to move the skip Tormentor. I feel like they're going to work on it. They're just focusing on the champions right now. I really hope they're not going to add the 5 champions. I really hope they're not going to do it. I mean, for me, in my honest opinion, I think the rework again is good. The downside is the Tormentor is still bad. I don't like it. I honestly think they should remove the Tormentor. It's a really bad design. I mean, in a tiny room, taken eyes spawn every 20 seconds, every 10 seconds. It's just not enjoyable. And it's going to crush a lot of new players. And they're just not going to want to touch Lake of Shadows. Especially during their solo. That's my honest opinion. Alright, I'm going to do DPS, and then I'm going to use my Fist of Havoc. Bungie remove around 5 champions, maybe more. I lost counted. And they made Lake of Shadows way easier than the buggy rework version. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.